I think your colleague made a very good observation. It's good to be back on the program. She made a very good observation that a deal has to be done, handshakes or not. Now, what we have right now is an unprecedented situation whereby which a whole lot of people can't get their heads around to what kind of demand decline or what level of oil demand decline that we are seeing. The jury's still out there. A lot of folks are shooting blind because as the outbreak of the coronavirus spreads, hardly anybody can pin a firm number. Now that also, it's not just the analyst dilemma, it's also OPEC's dilemma. It knows that a cut is needed, so does OPEC Plus, so do the Russians and the power brokers, the Saudis. But the question is that the demand decline, what extent of demand decline are we seeing? And I think the most usual suspects are likely to be hit: the airlines, the petrochemical companies, the retailers. And that is going to have a massive bearing. And of course, the average Joe consumer might not head out as much as he or she would like. So these guys around here, they're scratching their heads as to where they go from here. And they've come up with a number, which is a cut of 1.5 million barrels per day. They've proposed it, but the ball is now in Russians' court.
Well, exactly, Gautam, you said it yourself. It's now in Russia's court. Explain then the position that Russia now finds itself in.
You see, now this is very tricky. I think from the Russians' perspective, they can balance their budget, their spending between $40 to $50. At least that seems to be the market consensus out here. Now, a lot of folks within OPEC, they could do with with an oil price that's a lot higher. So, you know, the Russian minister's flown back to Moscow tonight to talk to President Putin. Let's see what he comes back with tomorrow. But the consensus here is that the Russians can just about manage right now. It is OPEC's problem to solve. So how much do they play ball with OPEC? That's the question here. Many in OPEC would like a higher price. But the Russians seem to be giving the impression, at least, or maybe they're putting their poker face on, that they can manage with the oil price where it is right now.
Especially because Russia obviously didn't want to drop even below the standards that they currently agreed before Christmas. But I was going to ask as well, the world still very much relies on oil. The demand is definitely slowing. How quickly then do you think oil markets will rebound?
Well, I think in talks with people who are medical professionals, I'm not one, I'm an economist, but I think the feeling that has been conveyed to us is that it could be a turnaround of about 6 to 9 months. If a vaccine is found, perhaps even quicker. If the season turns, there are quite a few goalposts are shifting all the time. But I think from my own modeling, I foresee a very bad first half of the year. The question is, if the sentiment changes, consumer sentiment changes, people feel a lot more confident, there are fewer cases of the virus, it peaks sort of around European and North American markets, then people might come out of numbers, consumption might grow, and then demand might turn ahead. But at the end of the day, 2020 is going to be a pretty tough year for the financial markets and by extension to oil traders and OPEC. So it's a wild guess, but it's turning out to be a pretty bad first half of the year.